Now I'm also going to hand these out now, otherwise I might be in danger of forgetting them. These are going to come up later in the presentation. They are two-sided, right? So there's this side and this side, right? I need to spell that out to my learners sometimes. So I'll hand those out. These you can take with you as well. You might be able to take people in your departments that you want to share these with as well.
Thinking out with the strawberry cream.
And yeah, you will be able to hear. It may not make a lot of sense to scan it right now, but that's okay. You will notice one of the QR codes has got artwork in it, because you can now make artwork into QR codes, and that's an AI version of a classroom inside the QR code, which I think is kind of cool. So I did that one. Right, so today I'm wanting to talk to you about interactive artifacts, which I usually get people saying to me, what is that? And referencing perhaps, hello, come on in, the 2 sigma problem as well. Now I have got a bit of a caveat with this, because all of the stuff I'm going to talk to you about today, I've been working on through the doctorate that I'm doing at the moment. So it's not something that is part of the sphere of every day that you might think of, but it's things I've been working on through the doctorate and then thought to myself, actually, that I could apply it in this particular way that might be different from what the doctorate things are telling me, right? So what I've done is I've bent it, the information, to my economics learners in particular, and the first one that I want to talk about is the interactive artifacts. And what the assignment was to create, using AI, a tool that helped schools to communicate with parents with the idea of inclusivity, right? So parents who might be more comfortable with different languages and understanding information in different languages, then they might be able to interact better with communication. So I wrote a policy change, an imaginary policy change, and put it into an interactive artifact, and then the language was all different. It would change the language depending on what the person was wanting, right? And then I thought to myself, well, why don't I do the same thing with the economics theory that I teach for my learners? So I tried a few, and it worked really well. And I thought, well, hey, that's excellent. Showed it to Noah, said, hey, what do you think of this? Noah quite liked the idea, and suggested maybe we do breakfast bite on it at some point, so here we are. Policy changes decisions, mentioned that. I've also used past papers, so past exam papers and solutions. So obviously with the secondary, that's something that's quite important to us. So I put them through into an interactive artifact so that the students can see the scaffolding and actually work through the scaffolding with the artifact. And you'll understand a little bit more about that as I show you how it works. And also for skill-based information. So for me, evaluation in economics is a really important skill. So I created one for the skill of evaluation, teaching them how to evaluate. But that's me and that's economics. But for you, as you see the artifact, you might think, oh, hey, it would work really well in this area or that area, or with this particular skill that my learners need. Or if you're a project-based learner, maybe the information for your project, putting it all into the artifact, and then they're able to move in and out of it, check their understanding of it, and also compare what's written in a different language depending on what they might be more comfortable with. So basically an interactive artifact is like a PDF document or a web page with some cool interactive components. And the interactive additions can be extra links, can be translations, can be quizzes, can be basically what you want. You just have to figure out how to tell it to do that, okay? And I know that's making it perhaps a little bit less clear. So let's see what it looks like. Here's an example. This is one I did. This is economies of scale, which again possibly isn't going to mean much to you. At this sort of point, it might for some. Sid will probably remember economies of scale. Right? You might be one of the only ones. So This is an interactive artifact. I used Claude, as you can see, to create it. It creates a separate web link for this document, right? Like a web page. Right? But as you see, if you run your cursor over it, you'll notice that you can click on different parts of it and the information will adapt. So here, I want more information about this one, or this one, or this one, right? And so on. And on, right? I won't go through all of it. Okay, more about external economies. Now, for those that are a little bit more mathematically minded, it took me a little while to get it to draw a curve, but I kind of got it right. Right, it's almost exactly right. I did need the optimal point to be at the lowest point on the curve, and it couldn't quite get it there. It would have taken me a little bit longer with a little bit more prompting to get it to exactly where I wanted it to go, but quite often when I talk to maths teachers in particular, it's this sort of visual maths that some of the AI engines struggle a lot with, and this is basically proof of concept that we are getting better, and we will get there with it. Diseconomies here, and then because it's IB, well IB as well is very keen on case studies, so put some case studies in there. Right, and then extra help, and this is really crucial for me, for the learners. They do it and then they say, oh, I'm still not sure, so let's look at some videos. It's got video links, channel links, search terms to use when looking things up, additional recommended resources with links, and memory aids, and here, study strategies, common mistakes, exam tips. So you can see, obviously it's very much for my exam-based students, but any information you have, including like revision checklists, you can put in there. So if it is a project that your students are learning, what key information do you want them to know? Put it in there, have little drop-down menus that it will create for you. I haven't told it to make these menus, it has done it this way, and then it has a quiz. And it tests you on the material in the artifact. And then you get 4 or 5 out of 5, and it says, well done, fantastic, you've understood it. You get less than 4, and it says to you, maybe you need to go back and have another look, okay? And then, as said, because some of the learners might be more comfortable in a different language, you just go up to the little button, and you go, I want it in Chinese, I want it in Korean, I want it in Bahasa Melayu, all right? So, for example, now, there is an error in the code, all right? And I didn't fix that one. Korean, I might shrink that down, but, and Bahasa Melayu. Okay, now I like this approach. I was producing resources in different languages and saying, here's a Chinese version, here's a Korean version, here's one that's in Bahasa Melayu, right? And getting the learners to then have that as an individual copy. And the thing they said to me is they wanted an English version as well so that they could compare the information. This enables them to go back and forth, read the English version, compare it, go back and see. So for me, I think this is a really powerful way to get your message across. And again, whether that is the school telling students and parents about a new uniform policy and why we're doing it, and these are the justifications, these are the articles from online, these are the people that you need to talk to, these are the links to the external providers, all of that can then be packaged into an artifact like that, and then they just pick the drop-down menu of what language they want to see the information in. So how do you do that? Right, on your QR code, oops, go out of here. Well, yeah, it is something I wondered as to whether that would be sort of like the future of how we communicate to the community in particular, and that's what the doctorate was kind of leaning towards. that we need to be using the technologies to include our diverse communities. That's
Yeah, we sent out a Chinese version and a Korean version actually, but not done like that. It gets translated from the second.
The good thing is, because it's HTML code, which is like the internet coding language, you can just embed this directly into an existing Google sites.
Okay, because we sent that out on Canva, does that?
I won't work on Canva,
Yeah.
but if it was put on Google sites, you could.
Okay. That might be interesting to
right. So that's the QR code there with the students in it. Right. That's will take you to the prompt for what I used to create this interactive artifact. As said, I used Claude to do it. As to whether Gemini, ChatGPT, etc. will do something similar, they might. I haven't used them, right, but I do use Claude quite a bit. So that will give you the prompt. The prompt is Claude. What Claude will enable me to do is to create what I call projects, and inside the project I'm able to put all of my artifacts. So this is my artifact project, right? So all of the artifacts that I create go in it, and then Claude is then able to reference each one. So if I want a consistent theme, I can just reference the other artifacts it's created. I give it the information that creates the artifact. Right? So you've got a worksheet that you've already created about the history of World War I, throw it in as a PDF doc, ask it to create an interactive artifact. I tend to ask it to do blue-green color scheme because it's this cool, right? And I ask it to put in extra help resources. I give it the help resources. I tell it what I want it to reference, what websites I want it to go to. I tell it I want it to create it as a quiz, and it does. Right? So that's the prompt. You can take that prompt and then use it in your particular field, and you will have to edit it obviously for what area of school or what you see might be interesting to use it with. A project-based learning or a common rule. So you're in your classroom, you're doing a setup at the start of the year, you've got common rules that you need the students to understand, but maybe they don't understand them because they haven't quite worked the language out. You put the rules into there and then they can just swap in between, and you don't have to keep constantly explaining what the rule is in the classroom environment, sort of idea. The 2 Sigma problem was about using Gen AI tools to be a one-on-one tutor. Okay, so the idea of the interactive artifacts is it doesn't have to be you explaining the content all the time to the learners. They can go on the site, they can look up the information and see and follow the progress of it, however you set that up, right? Like a little wee learning journey for them. But you can also use the Gen AI tools to be an individual tutor, and any Gen AI engine will enable you to do this. The one again I have used is obviously Claude, but ChatGPT will do this. I've had learners attempting to use DeepSeek for this, and one learner who used Grok, which I'm not 100% comfortable with, but that's okay. So you can use the AI engines to create a personalized tutor, and I'll show you the prompt. Don't get scared. I have called it one prompt to rule them all, sort of a bit of a Lord of the Rings reference there, right? So again, it's following the same prompting format that we're familiar with, right? And it's setting the role of the AI engine. What do you want it to do? Right? I've given it information. So this one I designed for the Year 11s. So I am a Year 11 student in an international school in Malaysia, learning IGCSE economics, right? You are an expert, you are a one-on-one tutor. Then what do I want it to do? I want it to keep track of the learner's strengths and weaknesses. I want it to ask them different styles of questions. I want them to adapt the level of difficulty. So if they are getting the questions and finding them easy to do, it will make the questions harder. If they are finding the questions hard to do, it will make the questions easier. Right? It then tailors them to match their ability. Each question is written so to reveal any misconceptions. Tailors them to match, right, where am I here? Asks them one question at a time and then expects them to answer. Yes, there are some learners who just want the answer, so they just like push the letter N, right, or any random letter on the keyboard, and then it tells them the answer, right? Don't tell me the answer unless I've attempted to answer it. Compare my answer against the mark scheme as if you're an expert examiner. Share the mark scheme with me and suggest which parts I have achieved. Give me a score for the question. Keep track of the score as a running total. So when they're on exam leave, they can use this. And I've suggested that they should be doing this every day for 5 to 10 minutes. Just going through question. Right? After each question, tell them the total score. After every 5 questions, tell them that they can stop. And when you ask it to stop, it will then give you like a little table. How well did you do? Strengths, weaknesses, hyperlinks for help. And then I told it what topics I wanted it to cover, which obviously for me is in my GCSE economics. Yeah.
So they upload this prompt?
Yes.
Are they also uploading all the resources as well, or it's just taking?
Thank you. Yeah.
It's just taking it from AI.
And yes, that can be an issue, right? When I have used this with the learners, they have generally liked it, they have enjoyed it. You would have to obviously edit it based on what skills you are wanting, the topics that you're wanting covered, the subject, etc. So there is a little bit of prompt engineering that you would need to do if you were to use this. But it means that every day on a regular basis, learners can be quizzed on any topic, and it's 24/7, and it's personal to them. Right? And that's the idea of solving the 2 sigma problem. It's not them coming to you, here's a practice question I've just done, here's another practice. The AI can sort it out for them at whatever time of day. Now you've also got the QR code to that prompt, but as said, you'll need to figure that out, right? And alter it for you. Notebook LM can also do something similar, by the way. And I've also written a prompt for that. I haven't included that prompt with this, but if you're interested in furthering your Notebook LM understanding and how to use it, I could share that prompt with you as well.
So the Notebook LM, it will just read our materials then, so
Yes.
it'll be within, won't be on
Yes,
the
exactly.
large language.
Yeah, so you can then give it the material, put that prompt in, but because it's a tutor, it's not interacting with you, it's interacting with the learner. So it needs to be them putting the code in. And yes, they could subtly change the code if they really wanted to, right? Change the prompt to perhaps better suit them. But that's what's going to happen. And we have had, particularly with ChatGPT, it referencing old information. And me having to say, yes, that's the old syllabus. All right?
Are you able to see how they've done based on that as well?
Yes.
Like, yeah, that goes straight to you as well.
Well, you can do it that way, yes. But it's mainly for them. It's their individual tutor. Now, I did get some learner feedback, and with your discretion, I'll just very quickly connect to here because it wouldn't fit on the slide. Sorry.
David, thank you. I've got the A20.
Yeah, no problem. Right, so this is my year 13 learners talking about these tools.
We have been using some Gen AI tools and found that it's particularly useful in specifying which weaknesses you have in economics. And it's like a go-to person we can always use to study and advise our learning.
Yes. it didn't quite
I really like
understand
the Gen AI too, because it kind of gives me like marching, like she said, but also like, you know, provide explanations, and it's like kind of like a teacher, talks like a teacher as well, so it kind of is immersive in a way as well.
Right. So. Right, okay, so that's me. Thank you very much for your patience. Take the QR codes away. Come ask me if you have any questions. Yeah, otherwise, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.